Do we have,
It was fun.
do you have anything we want to add to the agenda?
Borrow a pen again.
Yes.
Sure.
Well, speak up.
Yeah, well, grab my papers. All right. There's 31 Kings Way. And then
For what?
this is a discussion of whether it should be an RDA or a notice of intent. No one's coming in, I'm just gonna run it by you. And then there's the Osprey pole in the marsh. I think that project is started, so we just wanna.
I thought we gave it a go-ahead, actually.
Yeah, we did.
Do we have a plan where it's going to be?
We don't.
How do we know if it's?
No, I think there's a pole on the ground, and that's.
There
Just
is.
go down and look, Lisa, and you can come back and tell us how nice
I already
it
have a
is.
picture of a wooden plank. I didn't know if it was an Osprey pole that hadn't been put up yet.
Oh, thank you.
Probably.
Okay, there's two, I got,
Add that.
yeah, there's two more. There's a potential violation at 22 Stanton Lane, and then we had some.
Stanton?
Stanton.
Lane.
And
Yeah, I
then
know.
we had some vandalism on a trail. And one of the folks that do our trail work picked up on it, so. Anybody else?
I make a motion, we accept the agenda with the add-ons, Carol.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. So we have a request for a determination we can do right now to open, unless there's some pieces, Pat, that you want to... You're up. So on August 2nd, 2017, at the 6:15 meeting at the Town Hall, Scituate Conservation Commission will act on the request of David and Jean Lyons for determination of applicability of the Massachusetts Wetlands Protection Act and the Scituate Wetlands bylaws to install granite steps, patio area, stone wall, and groundwater control plan located at 83 Gilson Road, Scituate. Abutters and other interested parties are invited to attend.
Good evening.
Hi.
For full disclosure, I've known the Lyonses through hockey and stuff for a long time.
Plenty of years. Too many. So we submitted the plan with the RDA. It's the same plan that we met when we did a preliminary review a month ago. The only thing we updated was we put some dimensions on it to the edge of cliff for the bluestone. So what we'd like to do is a bluestone patio areas with crushed stone and sand base. The drainage is to a rain garden. It's shown on the drawing there, on the side of the house. It slopes down towards the street, but halfway down. So we'd have swales and some underground PVC pipe to that rain garden.
This is the edge of the cliff. Right next along the edge of the cliff. And it steps are here. Bluestone, crushed stone, sand base.
Away from the key.
Assume that's a fire pit.
That's a fire pit, yes.
Gas or wood?
Well,
Because I want to know if he's a pyromaniac.
gas.
Oh, Lord.
They put a nice planting plan on there, too.
Yeah.
Yeah, they did. Now, as long as everything's going away from the cliff. I'm happy.
Penny?
Nope, as long as everything's draining away from the edge of the cliff, I'm happy.
That's fine.
Looked
Okay.
really good.
Looks good.
Lisa?
No, all set?
My co-anchors?
Yeah, I think it appears consistent with the requirements of the -3 determination.
Yeah, I mean, we had talked about the wall and the stair, and I guess the only question was the bluestone area.
Is there anybody in the audience that would like to speak to this? So Can I get a vote?
Yeah, I make the motion for -3.
All in favor?
Aye.
So, negative is good.
Okay? Norm, thank you for explaining that.
Means that you don't, a positive would mean that you'd have to file a notice of intent. So
Okay.
negative means you're clear with this plan. And you understand the objective. What we're trying to do is not have any adverse effect on the edge of the bank. So disturbances and stuff out there are at a minimum. Anything that can be planted to stabilize the bank or that area.
Yeah.
Or avoid water running over the edge is our goal.
Yep,
Right.
no, positively, that's a,
You know, it's good
Yep.
for you, good for
yep, good
Right.
for good for
everybody.
Oh,
everybody,
yeah,
right?
definitely.
You don't need your yard.
No,
No, we don't need less yet.
we want to keep what we have.
What they'll do is a notice of intent requires a sign from DEP, and then, but what we ask is with the RDA, is that you post it, there's a number that we'll give you, and if you just make a little sign or something that then you
And we'll
put it out
post
like
it.
a permit, and
Okay.
then your neighbors and everybody know that you filed, and
Okay.
Just in the window or at the street? As
good
long as
if
it's posted?
at the street or
Yeah.
someplace where it's visible, it helps. Sometimes we get calls from people if they notice something that they
Yeah.
don't think is friendly.
Sometimes.
Okay.
Okay,
Again, it's good
we can do that.
good
Yep.
for everybody. And if any questions or anything, I don't think, in a case where there's a lot of construction, we'd look for some sort of erosion control, you know, silt fence or something
Right.
like that, but it looks like the earthwork is sort of minimal.
Right.
So just when you do that earthwork, to be sure that we don't get like silt or anything running off the property,
Yeah,
Dave,
okay.
Gina, would be a good thing, you know, we
Okay.
don't want
Yeah.
that running to a place where it would get into the storm drains or somewhere would
Right.
impact
Okay.
that. But it looks like the,
It should be minimal, yeah, well, point taken, yeah.
Your planning plan is really important.
Plantings, yes.
Right, oh, yeah,
yes.
right.
looking good.
All right.
Okay,
All
thank
right.
you very much.
Is it, what is it, a 10-day appeal period? Someone could appeal if they wanted to, but Carol will.
Okay, I'll touch base with Carol.
with
Yeah,
Carol.
okay.
All right.
Thank you, everybody.
Good luck with the
Thank you very
project.
much.
Just got a couple of minutes. We're going to have a couple of continuances. The DPW has requested a continuance at 26 and 32 Gardner Road. We'll announce that at the time that it comes up, but just if anybody's in here for that, that's going to be continued. And Norton at 23 Sunset Road, a new build, they requested a continuance. Both of those are going to get moved to September 7th, but we'll vote them at the appropriate times.
7th or 1st?
So, first meeting, September 7th.
Okay, thank you.
So we got a couple more minutes before 7:30. That violation at Man Hill, we got a call that someone was doing some work at the bottom of Man Hill Road. Amy and I were out on a couple of site visits. We took a look. There's a bobcat on top of the marsh, and there's spread crushed stone.
On the marsh.
There's a marsh on the backside of that barrier beach.
Yeah,
And there is some disturbance there before. There was a tennis court in there a long time ago, but it's all grown up and there hasn't been anything there for years. And it's clear that they've moved around some of the cobble that's overwashed, and they've spread crushed stone. Looks like they're trying to create a parking area in the back. And I just, the Bobcat was rented and just called the rental place. I don't know who rented it, so.
they don't know who rented it?
They did, they told us.
Oh,
So we know
okay.
where it came from, and we know who to contact, and I guess we should get them a,
A notice of violation.
yeah, yeah. I mean, they're well aware.
Pretty serious, yeah.
Yeah, and this person has had issues there before. They know what the rules are. I wouldn't hesitate to issue a violation. I mean, I don't think we have to think about it.
They
Do
probably,
you want to bring them in for a show cause hearing? Or do you want to just go right to
I'd send them a violation.
enforcement, violation enforcement?
I think it's, I don't think it's gonna be a surprise.
Right.
Any thoughts?
I was gonna say, we have some template letters too that we've used for these, if that would help.
Okay.
Are they scary ones?
Yeah, it's scary.
Okay.
Good.
Do not pass go, do not collect $200?
No, I think this,
Exclamation marks,
That's right.
I
underline.
mean, it appears that they,
Bold.
where they are located, they definitely, should know better.
Well, we know they do know better. That's
Yeah,
the thing.
right, I
Because
mean, I
we've
wouldn't
been out there.
be
before.
opposed to going heavy on,
yeah.
right
I-
out of the gate if we
Yep.
can, as strong as we can.
It's in the marsh. There's a machine
Yeah.
working in the marsh, so.
In 9 years, we've only had one person appear and say, I knew I wasn't supposed to do it. Thought I could get away with it.
Okay. So it's 6:30, and
Shall we continue first?
Continue DPW, which is also.
well, they're second on the agenda, so. Toll Brothers. These guys have cut your audience way down.
I hope it's not my breath.
Good evening.
Hi, good evening. I'm Bill Arnberg, I'm here with Jeff DeLisi.
Yeah, that's probably good. Let's put it up there. Can you see that?
I'm fine, because I have what he's going to put up, I'm sure, right
Well, Mark's setting that up, just the introductions. Bill Arnberg, I'm with Jeff DeLisi. We're here with Dave Buckley from Toll Brothers, and Scott Michelli is here. I think you know Mark Manganello. You also know Kevin Klein is here. So we're all here, and I think we're going to turn this over to Mark, and he's going to kind of update us. I think he just finished an on-site walk with Pat and the town of Horsley and Witten. So maybe they can fill us in a little on that and tell us, in response to the consulting engineer, I think you filed a lot of material, so I'll turn this over to Mark, so we'll start from here.
Thank you. So we were last before you at the joint planning board Concom meeting on the 13th, I believe that was. Since then, we have submitted some new information. This graphic, the wetlands exhibit plan, shows some of the information that was requested during that hearing, as well as some information that's summarized in 2 reports we submitted last Wednesday in response to the peer review comments and some comments from the commission. I'm going to go through those and just kind of highlight some of the important points.
Amy, can you see what you want to see here?
Well, I think it's the same plan that he gave
Yeah.
us.
Okay, you're good. Okay.
Yeah, you guys all have a copy of that? I have some
I
reduced.
think I've got,
now? I do.
Okay. So one of the requests was
You need
to
a copy?
provide, show the 50-foot buffer zones around the wetlands.
Mark, do you have an extra copy as
to
you
be
went
filled.
in?
Yes.
How do I have one and they don't? Oh, yes, definitely.
Thanks.
Late before time.
thanks.
So this plan, this graphic shows, where do I get over here? Hatherley Road, Tilden Road, and the wetlands to be filled. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm sorry, 7 right here. So this plan shows the 50-foot buffer zone and 100-foot buffer zone around each of them, and it includes the square footage of buffer zone that would be impacted by the project as a result of filling them. So that additional information is here. We tallied that up, and we've also provided some additional mitigation details that are relevant to that discussion. So the 50-foot buffer zone to be filled, the 50-foot buffer zone associated with the wetlands to be filled totals 101,000 square feet. There's also the 20,740 square feet, which
What was that number again?
101. Yep. And that's 50-foot buffer zone associated with the wetlands to be filled.
Mm-hmm.
And we'd already disclosed 20,740 square feet in the vicinity of wetland H within the 50-foot buffer zone. And in the notice of intent, we discussed 70,000 square feet of buffer zone restoration. That's this red hatched area here in the vicinity of the existing buildings and roadway. We've added to that by identifying areas within the construction footprint that are going to be temporarily disturbed as a result of construction, primarily of the basins, where we can restore those areas post-construction and create some valuable wildlife habitat. Some of them are in jurisdictional areas, some of them aren't, but nevertheless, these areas that are hatched in blue around the basins here will all be restored with a wildflower seed mix to provide some wildlife habitat values on the property post-construction. Those areas total 396,941 square feet, about 9 acres. So it's a pretty big number in terms of areas that are going to be naturally vegetated post-construction, and again, with a wildflower seed mix, we think that's going to provide a really important wildlife habitat value on the property post-construction. Our report included an alternatives analysis, which was requested by Horsley and Witten. That discusses scenarios associated with reconfigurations of the development and the wetland filling that's proposed. It's a fairly lengthy and detailed document.
Excuse me, sir?
John?
Just, yeah, if you want to have a conversation, take it out in the hall. Thank you.
So the alternatives analysis was submitted. It's fairly lengthy and detailed. We haven't had a formal response from Horsley and Witten on that. My preference would be to get some feedback from them. If they're prepared to give any feedback verbally tonight, that's great. Maybe we can have a discussion, but ideally we'd like to get that in writing, of course, and then any issues that remain between us, we can discuss further with the commission.
Sure.
And there was a separate document submitted that discusses the wetland replication area in greater detail. There were several comments in the Horsley and Witten report and from PAC that we had to address. They're mostly technical details associated with the replication area. There's nothing there that is a significant change to the size of it or the sort of the basic premise behind it. They had asked for example, an invasive species control plan. We provided that. They wanted some additional details regarding monitoring. We provided that. And some additional details regarding construction sequencing. So that's all in a report. If they have any comments about that, we'd certainly, or you have any comments about that, we're certainly happy to talk about them. I think the only one comment that may be worthy of discussion is a suggestion that we possibly connect this finger-like wetland across here and create a larger wetland replication area than is already proposed. You might recall that we have about a 2-to-1 ratio right now of replication to wetlands filled. There is some logic from an ecological perspective to that. We are already restoring it. We were talking in the field today that area may in fact end up reverting to a wetland anyway, because topographically it's very close in elevation to the adjacent wetlands. So if there's any feedback on that, we can discuss that. And lastly, in the field, just before this meeting, Amy and I and Pat took a look at the vernal pool flagging over off of Irving Road, as well as the bank flagging associated with the sewer, temporary disturbance associated with the sewer line. And we're in agreement with those flags with the exception of one vernal pool flag that we moved about 10 feet.
Bigger or smaller?
Bigger.
Made it bigger.
Peer review was never made smaller.
Well, you never know.
No, they do on occasion, but
Yeah.
it's very rare.
But it's still within that area. It doesn't make
It's
a
not going to
difference in
substantially
anything.
change
No, I didn't
the
think so.
design.
I don't think so.
I'm sorry, you went on that visit and you're
Yeah.
comfortable with that?
Amy was out there too, and it was all the areas with the stained leaves, and there's a real line between the, the BBW and the vernal pool.
So you two are in agreement with everything on that?
Yeah, Amy
Okay.
knows a lot more about it than I do.
The
You're
other-
you're in agreement with the experts here.
So I guess I'm trying to decide whether we want to hear back from, before we have questions from the commission. Are you prepared to comment on any of
I
this?
have a couple of comments, but
Sure.
maybe it makes some sense to have the commission ask questions.
Okay.
Because mine are fairly minor comments at this point. I mean, we did the site visit this afternoon, and we're comfortable with the flagging that was done to sort of define the crossing area for the sewer and for the vernal pool area to define that. And then there are a couple of thoughts I have, but I want to see what the commission has too. We may be on the same page
Okay.
with the supplemental information and the response to comments in this.
Okay. And everybody knows this is Amy Ball, our consultant with Worsley Witten, and I forget your associate.
Oh, I'm sorry, Joe Loca.
Yep, Joe.
Sorry,
Logo,
Joe.
Principal engineer with Worsley Witten.
My apologies.
That's all right.
Who's in
It's been about a year.
You were in a suit.
Well, that's way
before,
too long.
When we met you.
Okay. Penny?
The only comment I have, I'd be thrilled to make that wetlands bigger. That finger, I would absolutely, I mean, whatever we can give, something nice for the critters out there would be really, I'm all for it.
Okay. It's gonna be restored
Yeah,
as buffer zone right now, so it would have wildlife habitat value either way, you know?
well, any enhancement on that property would be greatly appreciated.
Okay.
That's really my only comment.
Penny used to be for the critters and the trees until a tree almost
Tree.
fell on her, and now she's...
Just the critters.
Now, cut them all down.
Just one question for clarification. You said 397,000 square feet plus the 70,000 that was originally proposed? Okay. And the second thing is, Penny will be shocked, but I'm in total agreement with her.
What's happening to you?
Okay, because those figures.
Just one.
Paul?
Yeah,
No new questions, or?
yeah.
Lisa?
The enlargement, like, how much larger were you thinking of?
Anything will take. Area there.
See if I
It's in the red.
Yes.
So it's this rectangle right here, really, that would be potentially suitable for that. So it could be quite large. I think what we'd like to do, if we do an expansion there, is create a wet meadow type habitat.
That would be nice.
Okay.
Yeah. So it could be, you know, another 15,000 square feet or more, depending on
Yeah.
how
That sounds
far,
great.
yeah.
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 Okay, super, thank you.
Do either one of, any, Pat or Amy, do either one of you want to comment yet? You want to hear what Amy thinks?
I had a comment that Amy would probably comment on too, is there's a lot of information provided in the alternatives analysis about how creating the larger wetland replication area is a much greater habitat value than the isolated ones that were filled holes and things like that. And I just wanted to make sure that, you know, Amy and Worsley Witten agree with that. And, because I mean, it sounds good, I think it makes sense, but I'd like to hear it also from.
Okay.
Definitely.
I mean, this is a fairly significant thing. We have a bylaw protecting these, and so we're looking for significant mitigation and replication to offset that, and I think we're seeing that here. But it is important to make sure that if we're gonna do that,
Yeah.
we're gonna, at the end of the day, have a much better,
Wetland and some test pits, yes.
Yeah, no, it's gotta be better than what's out there, and I did read the alternative discussion there, and, I agree with you.
Thank you.
And,
Amy, do you wanna,
Right, I think we actually have verbalized that before, and we may have even written some of that, you know, there's a greater chance for some real ecological value by removing the concrete and keeping a contiguous wetland area that will eventually become forested. We have this new discussion we're having right now about whether or not we should make some of the buffer zone restoration into more of a wetland restoration area to maybe support more of the habitat, but also we talked about last at the joint meeting with the planning board, having more water potentially get to the Scituate Brook, which is downstream across the street. And in light of that discussion, it may make some sense to have some more wetland to absorb some of the water and allow that to eventually feed that river as well.
Thank you. Any comments?
Oh, so a couple of other comments that I think the commission might want to consider. That's one of them about the mitigation area. It sounds like at least a couple of you are totally in favor of that. And then I guess we'd be looking for the applicant to come back with some sort of a proposal, maybe in writing. There's a question about the monitoring length. They have, your bylaw has a 5-year monitoring period. Again, that is for a BBW alteration and a BBW replication. Here we don't quite have that. We have, isolated wetlands and a BBW creation. So that's something for the commission to consider. They've got 3 years on the table right now. And then with respect to the use of herbicides, I'm not sure how the commission feels about that. You do have provision in your regulations that prohibits the use of herbicides within 100 feet of wetlands and within 250 feet of a vernal pool. I think that's about right. But it's specific to the lawns. So I guess that's a consideration. And the flip side of that is you've got a handful of wetland or invasive species, the plant species out there, that if they get out of control and start to get into your mitigation area, you may not be able to control them without the use of herbicides. So that's just something the commission may want to weigh in on. If done properly by a licensed pesticide herbicide applicator, I think it can be much more effective if needed.
Okay. Good point. So, I was just thinking if a piece of this area that was to be a buffer becomes a wetland, wetland or whatever, that would essentially increase the buffer zone out beyond.
Right, well, it would increase it sort of a northerly direction, I guess.
I'd say a little bit more easterly, southeast.
Yeah.
But, so I guess and then there's houses that are fairly close to that. Is there a way, maybe Pat or Amy, is there a way to denote that so that those buffers don't wind up restricting the people that have houses against that? We're essentially going to create there could be a wetland, and then that's going to wind up with a buffer that it didn't have an additional buffer, and then the houses are going to be in that buffer. We can deal with that with like detention areas and things like that. Is there a way to make note of that? So that we don't have somebody down the road that's trying to fix up their backyard or do some maintenance and find themselves in a buffer zone.
Right, you've thrown them into a buffer zone by the word.
Right.
I think we could ask Joanne to find out more about that.
What do you think about that?
Well, I think what we're talking about, if I can show you.
Yeah, please.
We had a pact. We both came in the field, and I'm grabbing these.
40,000.
Yeah, that's. You're earning your keep, that's fine.
There we go. So the area that we're talking about is this area in red. I don't think we're suggesting taking that entire area and turning it into potential wetland.
Right.
But maybe some subset of it, so maybe just kind of connecting it a little bit through here. And if that's the case, then your buffer would only really expand a little bit maybe over in here, or if you tuck it in enough, it's not going to really expand. So
I'm not
you've got the finger here and finger there.
I'm not opposed to not having more wetland. I'm just
No,
wondering.
I know what you mean. You don't want to impose additional buffers on.
And if we can do that, if we can do that in some sort of document or something and just agree that is the way that happened, and there's still an area, then I'm fine with that.
But it is on the property, the whole buffer would be on.
Yeah, it looks like,
but it wouldn't
Yeah.
Proper-
expand it
property.
off-site.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they can't create one that's gonna impact an off-site.
Yeah, and I don't see, yeah, it'd have to.
So
Okay.
that's sort of what we're going towards.
All right. So we've had some discussion about the Scituate Brook and getting additional flow onto the Scituate Brook and protecting the water that flows to that. you know, you've already got a lot of the drainage calculated and things like that, and I don't know whether it's possible to get any more water towards that site without some significant change or whatever. And I also know that that has other implications. I mean, we have to show that that's not gonna have an adverse effect on that stream, and that the water quality is good, or that that water that flows off of there gets properly treated or whatever. And I'm just wondering, how do we get to that point with regard to the stream? You know, in looking at mitigation for this, one of the goals of our commission, and I've had voiced this at prior meetings, is our concern for the Scituate Brook, and how do we make sure that we protect that, or maybe even enhance it through this process. And I'm sort of looking for a little bit of guidance, maybe from our agents, from Horsley Witten, or thoughts that you might have as to a good way to go about that. I mean, we know we have a lot of work to do on the Scituate Brook. This would be a first step towards getting to that process. And I don't know whether doing some sort of review of the brook might be the way to get to that point through this process, if you guys were to look at that, or Horsley Witten were to look at that, so that we have some basis to go by. I'm not looking to make this super complicated. I wouldn't think it would have to be, but I know that you can't add more water to a piece like that without at least taking a look at it and seeing what the impacts would be. So,
Can I just talk to that, because I've actually, per the prior meetings, we've had an internal discussion about this, kind of twofold.
yeah,
And the first thing is, I think the first step is, right now, and this is Kevin Klein, I mean to speak from just a synopsis, Kevin can speak more about this than Mark, but our stormwater resolution is 100% compliant, not only with the state, but with the local bylaw, which took a considerable amount of time, effort, engineering to get there. Now,
and then we tell you to go ahead and put some off the.
Yeah, right, yeah, forget about that.
For the bylaw.
but the point is we have two jurisdictionals. We have your commission and we have the planning board.
Right.
And that's something that if you feel environmentally it's a real positive thing, and certainly would look at and try to accommodate that. But one of the things, I think, first from the commission, we'd like a strong consensus, that's what you want. And then my suggestion would be is if the commission reaches out and maybe even could facilitate a meeting with the planning board, because what we do not want to do is to redesign something that the planning board say, we don't like it.
Right.
Is because it's a joint stormwater situation, we need a very, very strong direction. If it's something, I think we've already discussed internally, yes, it's something we can achieve, yes, it's something we can make better, but we don't want to go down this road with the time and expense if that's something, because it literally will need some waivers under the stormwater bylaw. So I think the first step is for the commission to say, yeah, it's something that it's important to the commission that we look at, and then it's something we could do. Item number 2 is, as you're talking about the Scituate Brook, I think one of the things, and Mark and in conjunction can look at this, and you know, if it's something, but this is kind of an overall resolution, because having to do with this entire development, one of the other issues I think with, if you're liaising with the planning board, is you know, the Toll Brothers are committed to being good neighbors and actually doing some type of civic improvements or things along those lines, of which looking at something that, you know, to try to make the Scituate Brook, you know, more vibrant, vis-a-vis maybe some cleanup or funding some cleanup in the headwaters of it. It's something, but what we need to do, because from the selectmen have certain things that they like, planning board have certain things like,
Sure.
youth have it. We have to have a mechanism quickly, and I mean resolutely, to get together what it is, so we can narrow what the focus of this is and look at this, so that in turn the Toll Brothers can look at this and see how it fits into budgetary issues and what they what's in their bailiwick and what's not, so we can come up with a consensus. They're very willing to do those kind of things, but in other words, you know, there's some discussion about, you know, geez, maybe there's some sidewalk work that can be done. Obviously, you're talking about Scituate Brook headwaters, there's discussion about recreational facilities at Wampatuck, all those things we can look at. We can't do all of these things, but we need a consensus. And what I'm concerned about is, there's been a commitment that Toll Brothers are gonna do something, but sooner rather than later, we gotta come to a pretty strong, quick consensus that everyone's on board. I know everyone isn't gonna have exactly what they want, but then we can focus on and give a proposal to everyone.
So Pat, you're retired, you've got nothing to lose.
I thought he was to say you got nothing to do.
No, he's got nothing to lose. So why don't you just call,
Just like one of the Scituate things. That's it.
why don't you call a meeting with the selectmen and the planning board and tell them to be there and we'll No, I'm sorry, Bill, I wasn't trying to.
No, I understand.
I mean, this is, what you're asking for is understandable. I mean, you don't want to go in circles and we have our purview, others have theirs, and by meeting with the planning board regarding the stormwater, our issues with this were brought up, and I got some feedback that, you know, they would not, I don't think that they would be opposed to additional water going to the brook, providing it was done in compliance with the regulations that would affect that.
Gotta look, every word after but, you gotta look out for.
Yeah.
Yeah. Negates everything you said previously.
So,
Well, can I ask, Frank, just at the outset, let's talk about first issue, increasing flow to Scituate Brook. Is that something the commission, the consensus, you feel if it's achievable, it's something that's a very positive thing?
Yes. Yes.
One thing on that, though, the wording of our stormwater bylaw talks about, you know, the rate of flow and the volume of flow from the site, so.
right.
What we're talking about is volume, not rate. Rate would not increase.
Right, you have to do
Yeah.
that anyway for the state.
Correct.
It's volume, so I
Yes.
think we'd have to work with our consultants and with planning, but I mean, I
Okay.
think it's something worth looking into.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's something that we can express our feelings to the review engineers and have them take a look at it and comment to see if it's feasible to meet Massachusetts stormwater standards and also, you know, put some new flow into
Yeah.
the brook.
Internally, we've already reviewed it, and the answer from our side is yes, we can do it.
Okay.
But we don't want to go down this road and have an undue delay unless everyone's bought into the issue.
No, I think it's reasonable.
Right.
Planning say no.
It's reasonable.
When do we have another joint meeting scheduled yet?
Now, planning has one, but it's more related to the site cleanup issues. So we don't have a second stormwater joint meeting planned yet.
Well, I'm not opposed to talking to the chairperson
Yeah.
of the planning board and seeing how we get to that. Maybe there's a small portion of that meeting that we could,
If I can make a suggestion in. to
Sure
think
you
about-
will.
Yes, I already have. No, we're meeting on August 24th, and if you reach out to the chairman, I think what would merit, even if, is a discussion, and either the chairman or representative of this, and say, hey, at our last meeting, this is something that the applicant has expressed a willingness to do. Our consensus is we strongly like him to do this, but we need a strong consensus from you. So let us know so to make a decision, and then that, if on August 24th, the strong opinion is yes, do it, then we can get off and get going on it.
Sure. Okay. Question for Horsley Witten. So, I know this is off the cuff here. Is that something that you want to comment on now? Do you want to look at that? If obviously you're going to be advising the planning board as well, so they're going to some of their decision-making is going to be based on your recommendation.
Right, well, with respect to what we're talking about, which is supporting the flow within the brook, are there any existing baseline studies of the flow or any studies at all on the brook itself?
I doubt it,
Okay.
not that I'm aware of.
So that may be.
So, and I might, need- and I'm
That
gonna
may
need
be a
some.
first step.
Yeah, I
Just
mean,
looking into
I don't know I don't know the ins and outs of how we get to that point, and so, and this may be part of what we're talking about for help from the applicant, is, you know, before we even, you know, do any improvements or anything, it's basically, we're gonna need a study, and that may be the process that we need from them, or ask the help on, that, you know, we need to get it started, and then it could be an ongoing project for the commission. We could go elsewhere to look for grants, we could look for volunteers to do some of the work, but we need to get this started. And this may be a good way to do that.
You know, I think, again, to reiterate sort of what Pat said, if the commission feels that it's, you know, something that you all want to do and get planning board on board, we've looked to the applicant to sort of redesign, to do that as step 2 or 3, and then we would certainly take a look at if they're, you know, providing the adequate amount of water quality treatment prior to discharge to the brook, running through the wetland, which is really what the wetland is supposed to do.
Right.
And effectively treat that, and so that you're getting good water quality into the brook. And it's similar, it's kind of like down on Pine Hills, they did the same thing with Eel River. When they developed, they were required to do some work to Eel River before they, you know, impacted it potentially. So there were baseline studies, things of that nature, to show the quality before they started and the quality after they built.
Do you want to?
Good question. Just, under the regulations, is it possible to divert water from the site, off-site, and still meet the standards?
The state standard?
Yes. Okay.
But local.
It's the local
Yeah,
bylaw,
It's the
and
local
which is
bylaw.
unusual, there's not many towns that have that bylaw for the non-increase of water.
But I do think, I mean, I've already gotten informal feedback from the planning board that if there's a good environmental reason for doing that, that they're certainly not going to oppose that. And maybe, I forget your name. Kevin. Want to comment on how that might work, or?
Sure. Let's see what we have for plans here. Kevin Klein with Stantec. We did meet last week with Scituate and primarily to go through all of their comments. And especially, I had 2 issues here and here that I wanted to discuss with them before coming here. But for the area down at Tilden Road, the basins, stormwater basins, are very conservatively designed. We used a very low infiltration rate, lower than what the actual soils are, because we needed to capture the 100-year storm and keep, for your bylaw, keeping volumes from increasing. So we have really big infiltration basins. And because of that, on most storms, anything less than 100 year, they're not going to overflow. So whatever's getting there, gets in there and recharges groundwater. So when looking back at this with Horsey Witten and looking at the design, I think there are ways that we can improve the flow off-site, essentially maintain the flow rate, which is required by the state, but increase flow, which is allowed by the state. It would require a waiver to your bylaw. But we can do it by getting the water into the basins, releasing water from the basins to the wetlands, or releasing some of it actually to Tilden Road, and getting it actually directly into the stream. But all of that we can look at. It will involve redesigning. It will be smaller basins, which is good for the site, good for the disturbance, but then will allow us to treat it, get it back in, and recharge this to a brook. But we do need to know, and that was our biggest question is, how much do you want? Do you want us to just comply with the state stormwater bylaw? But then we have to make sure that volume increases aren't going to be a problem also. But your bylaw with trying to contain a 100-year storm and not increase off-site volume, it's difficult, and that's why we end up with such large basins.
That's over my pay grade.
Yeah, one other thing that's going to play into this is our irrigation design. At the last joint meeting, the planning board kind of gave us some direction that they didn't want to see us using irrigation wells to be the main supply of irrigation. They wanted us to look at using stormwater. So we have two moving parts now that we have to look at, and they're intertwined. So we do have an irrigation consultant that's experienced with designing irrigation ponds. So we have these two moving parts that we have to try to figure out at the same time.
One of the things, as we start looking at, obviously the irrigation will take away from water. But if we can do all of this and try and maximize benefits to the wetlands and to Scituate Brook, we may be able to also rebalance a little bit where the stormwater is going to minimize any stress on the northern portion. We're reducing flows and reducing volumes in the northern portion to the wetlands and off-site, but that's an area that anything we can do to improve at Hatherley Road, even more by doing this, it could help it. The other comment in Horsey Witten's letter that I wanted to bring up to you, Horsey Witten had written a comment saying, we'd really like to know how you're connecting to the stormwater system in Hatherley Road, and what are the impacts. And what we did up there is similar to down here. We captured everything on site, minimized the velocity and minimized the volume. But with our swales that are going to be going here, we're slowing it down and reducing the volume, but we're still releasing it to the existing swales and wetlands. It's going to be less than is there now, but it's still using the same collection system that is there now. The existing collection system, it weeps onto the road, it overflows onto the road. We're going to have less of that under what we have currently designed, but it's still going to be there. Improvements to that would probably involve catch basin or collection system, either in the buffer zone or in the wetlands itself. Right now, this northeasternmost wetland has got 3 or 4 pipes in it that go towards the catch basins, but we're not sure exactly where they go. We know that it drains, but I think they're probably clogged. If we want to fix that problem, we're going to have to work with you on a way to do it in the wetland, or immediately adjacent to the wetlands. Because what's there right now just seeps onto the road. And we didn't want to propose anything. We came out with our design to be fully compliant without needing any waivers or work in the wetland and the buffer for that. But we know that there's probably a better way of doing this, but it involves working with you to get there.
Yeah.
Kevin, I had a comment. I was speaking with Kevin Caffrey from Public Works, and he had questions about the swales along the side of the road and what they would look like, whether they'd pose any danger. So I think he would like to have some idea of.
Yeah, we will definitely get cross sections, and we have some details in the plans, and we'll certainly give him all of that. We didn't reply to all of the comment letters at this point because we wanted to sit and talk and think. If we're going to redesign it, I don't want to get too far into what's there. But that was one that they're going to be shallow swales. They're really there for not even for treatment as much as velocity attenuation, and just level spreader and just spread it out. But then once it gets to the wet area, it kind of gets back into the town's what's there now.
I mean, that area that you're talking about is thick. And I don't know how well that's been really mapped out or evaluated. I mean, you say that there's several pipes that flow into that area. Is that anything that we would want to further evaluate? I don't know.
Is it something that they won't know what's out there till they start doing some of the work? Maybe along the way, we find out things.
I mean, I think, obviously our commission has our purview and we want to protect environment as much as possible. We also know that that area on Hadley Road, it can be dangerous in the winter. I mean, water sweeping out and freezing and all that sort of stuff. And I think we have to be realistic that they could look for some improvements there. We also know that some of these areas are or had been created. It's an altered site that over the years people have moved things around, they pipe stuff in. It's probably not a totally naturally occurring site. It's probably more of a man-made.
Yeah. The wetland just to the west of it is definitely man-made.
Right.
And
But that's not really posing an issue for Hadley
No, but what
Road.
we've got on that one right now is pipes coming from Irvine and from Norwell and Longley go into that wetland,
Okay.
into that drainage basin.
Yeah.
And they actually overflow this way.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it's just.
Well, maybe that's something we could bang around with the planning board at the same time a little bit and see where they would,
Yep.
how they'd want to go, since we're doing that jointly.
Well, one of the things with Kevin, just to where the wetland he was just pointing out, one of the other things I think we mentioned before we met at the planning board, actually, the town drainage, that wetland has been created by the town without right draining onto the property because there is no adverse possession or anything, but that's one of the things we've committed with the town to square away from them, to give them the appropriate easements, because in the absence, if that flow wasn't there, that wetland, that's the only thing that created that wetland. And so we are going to take care of that also. The other question, if I could just talk in a minute, in other words, just to kind of get a feel and a consensus for this, is because I heard the commission.
Thank you.
The consensus is if we could, instead of buffer zone, if we could get another, as Mark said, a wet meadow, another 15,000 square feet. One of the things, the isolated wetlands which we're filling, if we have a consensus of the board, and I think it is, but I just haven't heard a consensus, if what we're proposing here is positive to permit that, if the board gives us the consensus of that, I've already talked to my client, we'll go ahead and we'll do that 15,000 square feet of wet meadow. In other words, we can get it into you, as Penny, what you were saying there. But before we start doing that, we want to know that it's literally been over 2 years of planning and all these pieces, and all of a sudden if one piece falls apart, then it turns everything upside down, and I don't want to say, yeah, we're going to create another 15,000 square feet of wet meadow here, and then have someone say at a later date, geez, I'm not sure if I like that, because then it turns our whole plan around.
Why wouldn't we like it?
I don't know why we wouldn't like it, and if you're talking about creating the 15,000 extra square feet, and that's what you're talking about.
Yes.
Then,
That's not exact, I think what he's saying is that we don't want to get down the road a hearing or two from now and find out that there are questions about whether or not the commission's comfortable with us filling the wetlands. Because the two are.
Yeah, if the consensus is.
There's two people who think it's good. I'm a third person who thinks this was a good thing.
What do you think, I mean, can the commission vote a piece of that and just say we agree that we're...
You can make comments.
I mean, we're doing this jointly with the planning board, and I hear what you're saying.
I'm not talking about drainage, I understand.
No.
I understand.
You think this is a good direction?
Yeah.
You think this is a good direction?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I think you could express your opinion of where you are at this point, but I also think that in the comment letter, there were a few things that Mark and the team had put in there that we have yet to see Amy's comments on. There's a couple of things in there.
Okay.
I mean, it was well written, there's a ton of information in there. It's just that there was nothing in writing on a couple of things.
So why can't we take this list of questions and suggestions, have it circulated to the different boards and people, and have everybody submit a response, and then sit down and then dissect it and see how many people like A, B, C, and then reduce it down from there?
Go in the
Yeah,
biggest
that's called
circle.
bureaucracy, yeah.
I think though before the next planning meeting, if the commission had a representative and maybe
I think that was Bill's suggestion, that
Yeah.
if, have an informal discussion.
Yeah, to see what they think of that idea, and maybe even, is there a history of us waiving the volume and the rate under the stormwater bylaw? If it's been done before, we could look at how it was done and what the circumstances were.
We're not looking to change the rate.
Right, but I know you're covering the
Right.
rate, I'm
Yeah.
just.
But if you had to, Pat, could you have a cap on the increase of rate?
Sure, you just tell us what you want.
Yeah.
Yep. So maybe that could be an
Can I
option?
step back? We're talking the wet metal. And Pat said, Amy, do you see anything negative to what they're proposing, those isolated wetlands, the filling of them? Do you, at this point, see anything negative to those holes being filled?
I think the only thing we brought up in our first letter, or maybe one of the memos, was just making sure that the amount of water that would otherwise be captured by these isolated
Yeah.
wetlands is managed through the stormwater management system
Right.
that you've got proposed.
Okay.
And I think they've at least tacitly have understood that, and that that's going to be, we're not going to result in additional flooding. They'll meet the standards for, the state standards for that, and they'll have to take into account the potential loss of volume to these wetlands. But I think that was really the only thing we were concerned about.
But they're, other than
And that
that,
could be
they
handled
don't
in
have any
stormwater.
value to the
They
critters.
don't
Like,
have the types of functions and values that I
Yeah.
think we're proposing.
That a
in this
big
particular-
contiguous
right,
Just
that's what I
Yes, yeah.
just want, because Pat said that Amy hadn't addressed some things.
Yes, sir.
One thing which is not shown on this plan, I just want to mention in discussion of extending this wet meadow areas, which is not shown on this plan, is a couple of other plan-related items such as a walking trail and other smaller minor amenity area we may be planning on in that area. So we'll have to work around that design. So that may still be incorporated in the plan, and what we can do as far as square footage may be slightly reduced to what we're just kind of guessing here, looking at the plan, the square footage. So just be cognizant of that. It's not shown in these plans right now.
But I think what I'm hearing is a pretty strong consensus that,
We like the direction.
that you like what we're doing, so we'll go
Yes.
forward and do it.
We like the direction.
Yeah. And I think as far as the issue of that wetlands on the Hadley Road side, I personally wouldn't be opposed to talking with the planning board, maybe DPW, together to see what can be worked out there. I mean, whether it's a change in some of the flow that goes into that, this pipe that comes from Irving, whether that,
Which one are you talking about?
the wetlands that's along Hadley Road, that weeps into Hadley Road,
Okay.
It's the west side.
and the west,
On the west side.
on,
Okay.
no, on the west
west
side of
side.
Hadley,
Yeah.
East side's not-
is a wetland that is fed by a lot of this drainage that comes off of Irving, and it first goes into
Yeah.
that long
Yeah,
wetland and then flows into
Right.
there. If there's a way that, again, I'm not
Yeah.
engineering your site, but if less water is flowing into that wetland and gets into the, because you have another issue of topography there. I mean, everything's
Right.
falling towards Hadley Road, so if more of that water can get moved towards that brook site,
you mean we're going to the west?
yeah,
All right.
might be, I don't know.
Okay.
I just had something to say. Pat and I were discussing, that there's really two sides of this project.
Yeah.
So there's the east and west sides of Hadley Road, and most of our comments tonight pertain to the west side.
Right.
Well, the isolated,
Wanna make sure that's clear.
wetlands, though, are more towards the east side of, not on the other side of
Well,
Hadley,
there's-
but,
There are a couple isolated wetlands on the
Right.
east side, but the ones that we're talking about filling
We're on the west side.
On the
are on
west
the west
side.
side.
well, they're on both
And
sides.
both
Oh,
sides.
comments.
Both
They're on
sides.
both sides.
But so you guys are good with filling,
Yeah.
IBWs on both sides.
Yeah.
There's two small ones on the
Yeah,
other
the
side.
little-
You had a
little-
chance, Amy, you had a chance the other
You got
day
the
to
big
walk
one.
the
I
site.
did,
So you saw those isolated wetlands as well?
yes.
Yeah.
And I just want to make sure that Amy's comments pertain to the IBWs on both sides of the road too. Okay.
Be useless.
Okay. And I guess what I'm saying is what, one of the things that was brought up was with this water that's flowing towards Hatherley and it's problematic as to how to fix that. They have water flow that's going off of Irving and all that sort of stuff that goes onto the property, and maybe that it's beyond dealing with in that fashion, but if there's a way to reduce the water that heads towards Hatherley Road and get it more towards...
To the west?
I don't know, you know, I mean, I'm not an engineer in that regard.
I'm glad you said in that regard.
Frank just wants general overall improvement.
We should...
He'll tell you how to do it.
Yeah, just get that right. The audience, anybody in the audience would like to speak to this evening? We've had a lot of discussion here. Well, let's try to set up this meeting with, between planning and a couple of us so that we can have that discussion.
Yeah,
Notify you.
the other thing I'd say, if you're setting up that meeting, and I know it's just informal, I think it would merit if, you know, so we can actually get to a consensus or query what you're looking for, is if I could be involved in that meeting, one of the Toll Brothers representatives, then we can get our hands on, and in other words, to say, so in other words, people aren't making a list of 9 things, we can say, yeah, here are 3 or 4 things, let's work on those, you know?
I was sort of like hoping maybe Mark and Mr. Klein could just come to the meeting.
That's fine. It'd be a quick,
We could just get to the bottom.
It'd be a quicker meeting.
Yeah, get to the bottom of it.
The meat of the matter.
All right. Okay.
So how far out do we want to go?
Is there anything else that we want to address this evening?
Want to start thinking about a joint stormwater meeting with planning
Yeah.
after their next, did they have a suggested date after their next meeting that they wanted to get back to stormwater? They did not.
As soon as possible.
Because the next joint one, it could be with us, I mean, on our date, we could invite them,
That'd be fun.
rather than us
Yeah.
changing our date. so.
That'd be fun.
Yeah.
Oh, you mean our next time that
The stormwater,
they're
have
coming
planning
in,
come
do the
to,
stormwater then?
come with us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Is that,
to move it along.
is that September 7th?
Wait a second. We are in the process
No,
of
you wrote that planning is not meeting
moving our
that week.
meetings around. It would be September 7th. Wait a minute.
No, they said
Planning
planning
is not meeting that week.
September 7th is quite full, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
And it's a Thursday. Yeah, there's a huge, oh, no. September 7th and
Yeah, the-
August 16th
Oh, it's
is,
August 16th.
yeah, that's swamp.
Well, if planning board's not meeting that week, maybe they'll want to meet with us.
Yeah. It's their night, too. It's Thursday night.
It's Thursday night, I don't
Yeah.
know.
Let's give it a
Can
shot.
ask them.
Yeah, all right, so I'll put down them for, I make a motion that we continue Toll Brothers to 6:30 on September 7th.
Stormwater.
That's a
Question,
Thursday night.
Janet, that would work out for you or Janet as far as,
No,
What was it, the
I think you need
Yeah.
it. September 7th, so-
I guess so.
Second.
She's in Ireland now, so I can't, I'm not gonna go.
On your.
Okay,
make any sense of no stormwater?
I don't think we need to ask, but I would imagine it's.
all right.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I think, well, I'm going to try to reach out to the chairman of the planning and see if we can see where they are with that. Okay?
No, that's,
Okay.
we've cleared a lot of
Yeah.
issues off the table.
It's moved and seconded, no vote.
We have a motion, a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Good.
Hey, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good night, folks.
We're getting there, people.
Have your.
Yep. Moving good,
And
yeah.
then get Mr. Cook up here. Mr. Cook. Yeah, we told these guys. Yeah, okay, all right.
All right, for anybody who is here for Scituate DBW 2632 Gardner Road, we're going to, excuse me, folks, can you move it outside, please?
But we got Pat's back in the garage here.
That's all right, we can still continue these things.
Carol, you know when Gardner Road wants to continue to September 7th? Did you already put them? Oh, okay.
I didn't know.
Nope, that's all right.
That's what they requested.
Yeah, we'll see if they bother to shop.
Days ago, because I was talking to Kelly last week.
Excuse me? Excuse me?
I make a motion, we continue 2632 Gardner Road, Scituate, Town of Scituate, DPW, to September 7th at 6:35.
You want a second?
Which second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Next.
Sunset.
Sunset is also going to be continued. If anybody's here for Sunset Road, that's also being continued.
Oh, boy. I make a motion, we continue Norton 23 Sunset Road to September 7th at 6:40. Everybody?
I second.
I hope
All
we're
in favor?
doing one.
Aye.
Aye.
We're rolling now.
Yeah.
Well,
Yahoo.
And in just a minute, we'll get to Town of Scituate DPW for 430 Justice Cushing.
yeah,
Which
hope
is
we
a
don't get anything
continuance.
else for the 7th.
Town clerk was Tetra Tech, or Pete Dillon with Tetra Tech.
And if you want to wait 1 minute, we'll see
No
if Frank
problem.
comes back. Otherwise, we'll start without him. We don't really need him.
23. Oh, don't hurt Frankie's feelings.
You're getting so tough.
Oh.
No, we'll. And here he is, see?
Yeah, he heard you.
I can't,
Everything you wanted to accomplish
I
is
can't believe you don't have more people showing up in October.
We're all set here.
We're almost done.
It's right there for you.
Good evening.
All right, good evening. Peter Dillon, Tetra Tech. I'm here, we've been continuing this meeting for Reservoir Pond for a while. We had given MIPA additional time so Marine Fisheries can comment, and we got our comment letters back, as well as a certificate on the 21st of July. Thankfully, there was no real things that came out of left field like we were hoping wouldn't, specifically from like Mass DOT and EPA. All were fairly, I would say, easy comments to address once we get to the EIR. And then we got some very specific comments from DEP, who obviously had taken some time to craft the fact that you need to deny this project. So I guess we're here tonight. Like I said, there was nothing that came out of left field. So we're here tonight to ask for you to deny the project because it will alter more than 5,000. I can't believe I'm doing this.
This is a
More than
first.
5,000 square feet of wetland. And then we'll continue on in the process for the variance, which will, again, be to appeal.
I don't want to deny it.
Amy and I had a chance to meet with Mr. Dillon this afternoon.
Did you?
And talk about this, and although we'll deny it, we're going to deny it with the thoughts that, or our input, that this is a
In
worthy
a positive
project.
manner. We're going to deny it in a
Yeah.
positive manner.
Give him the variance, in other words.
This is, it's more a procedural
Right.
issue, in that there'll be other entities in the state that will be reviewing this for a variety of reasons, and then it's gonna circle back.
Will it circle back to us?
They'll be asking for your input, most likely as part of the variance process, so.
But it won't
It
circle
will
back
not
as an
circle back to
NOI.
you. No, what will happen from here,
Just want our input.
yeah, is just that you have no choice really but
Yes.
to deny it. We would ask that maybe in the part of that denial, you kind of support it.
Yes.
And then we'll appeal that to DEP for superseding order, which they also will deny. And then we have to apply for the variance. And it probably is going to take a while. It'll probably be about a year or so before we're through the
I know,
process.
it takes a long time when you go.
Yeah, but it's the process it is.
We have to do it.
We did try for ecological restoration, but it because of the water supply piece that goes along with it, it kind of trumps that, and DEP makes sure, because I tried that with them, make sure to outline the fact that this is not a limited project. So a lot of the language, I think, that can go into the denial, DEP's already provided, and we'll work with you to get to that point.
Pat?
Yeah, I just got a question for either Ralph or Tom. You said that DOT ended up commenting on this? Because it was
Believe
hard
it or
to
not.
get them to, what did they say? Did they say anything about the road impacts, or?
I'll let you,
No, they basically just said we need to have a access permit.
access permit, and they talked a little bit about the riprap on the, I was expecting something that was gonna come out of total left field, actually, from
Yeah.
DOT, not that, I should probably say that. And it was not. It was fairly straightforward. You need to do this, you need to do this, you need to do this. Marine Fisheries was very supportive in it. In fact, they even started pushing on the fact that maybe we could get smelt in there. And EPA, who I think DEP was hoping would maybe not be as supportive of it, was pretty supportive. So, as well as the Army Corps of Engineers. So I think, all in all, there were very few comments, and I'd say for the most part, they weren't super negative.
No,
Richard?
No, we gotta deny it, we'll deny it.
Whatever he needs.
Lisa?
We have no choice.
Any other comments?
Deny it
Pat,
with
or-
full support.
In the audience, any questions? Can you maybe help, there's a couple of folks here that are abutters and interested in being here. So will there be hearings at a public level, or how does it sort of go from here?
From here, it'll be both the EIR process and
Which is?
the environmental impact report, which is what this, the certificate is that came out from MEPA, Massachusetts Environmental Policy Act. There's the ability to comment. There's a public comment period when we submit the draft environmental impact report, and most likely in this case, which will lead to a final environmental impact report. So the process at this point is, if you're interested, is to get a copy of the certificate that was issued on the 21st. And if you give me an email address, I'll email it to you. And it tells basically what it does is the Executive Office of Environmental Affairs has outlined all the things that we need to do for the environmental impact report, which for the most part, and I think DEP and others, and then all the comment letters, it's a 32-page document. All the other comment letters are attached to it. For the most part, they're looking for additional vegetation studies to see how we're going to impact or change potentially any vegetation that's out there. There's a groundwater piece. There's the water supply piece, which is looking at how much we're going to alter the yield of the reservoir. And then, as we just talked recently, was stormwater improvements that DOT was looking for, as well as what we proposed to do for the town. On what, I don't remember the name of the road. It's
Justice Cushion. Oh, no, the little cul-de-sac.
yeah, the cul-de-sac.
Colonial Way.
Okay, there you go,
Colonial
okay.
Way.
All right. So all that is available in the certificate, and like I said, I'm more than happy to give you that document, and you can take a look at it.
There's one interesting thing that just happened, is that house that's on the reservoir side, it's for sale.
Yeah.
And that's where the septic's failed.
Yes.
Wouldn't that be awesome, just to have extra storage right there?
Yeah, it's.
And there's a road that, right next to that, that's that road that goes all the way across the country way.
Yeah, yes.
And you guys know about the road that goes under.
I actually do, yeah. I grew up locally, so.
Because we used to be able to go in there, and I think there was too many people going in there. So they have the barrier off the highway, so you can't go in there. The cops used to sit in there.
Why don't you, if you get some
Right.
contact information, that'd be helpful.
Absolutely. So that's that piece of it. Then there's the piece that will go to DEP, which is the wetlands group. I don't know if you can make public comment on that at that point. But certainly on the variance process, which will be the next step, this is going to take, like I said, it's going to take about a year to get, or hopefully get, this variance. And there's definitely time for comment. And if you give me your contact info, I'll make sure that you're aware of what's going on when it happens.
And I think their concern all along has been their property and it's low there and how
Yeah.
that's gonna impact their yard and things like that. And Tom had explained earlier the change in elevation and that it,
Absolutely, and that's part of our evaluation.
Yeah, I wasn't too worried because it's on the reservoir side. But now, since they're gonna be flushing more water onto our side, you know, it's like, and you know about that too, if you're working with them.
well, to be
We'll
honest.
all work
yeah,
together.
that's-
We're denying the project. If you're not happy
Actually,
with that.
That other piece with that pipe is gonna wind up with a hearing.
Yeah,
So
so
it's-
that one's something different.
It's gonna, yeah, that's not just,
Yeah,
they came to us with something simple, but that's gonna get more complicated as well. So that isn't just gonna happen.
That's one question.
Sure.
Do you think that, like, you could buy that land with CPA money?
There was talk about that, and the question could be asked if there was any possibility of that, Pat. I don't.
Because I think the house is a historic house, and I don't think you can, I don't know whether you can tear it down. if you
Right.
buy it, but, I mean, it's an old house.
Well, that other one that was down the street was
They tore it down.
Emmett Jenkins Drive, yeah.
Right.
It's on fire first.
I don't know.
We don't have any money to buy. That's what's definitely.
Yeah.
I just think, you know, for water protection, it wouldn't be a bad investment for the town.
Right.
Are you really concerned about the town water?
And then there's almost 2 acres there, so it's just a little more water.
Yeah, we passed that, your email along to the water department and to the selectmen, and we haven't heard back, but it's, I think under CPC, if it's open space for water protection, it would be a category that could be supported, but, it will be something that we can decide on.
Yeah,
It'll be
I
someone
mean-
in the town should look into it.
Yeah, it's something just to throw out there anyway,
Yeah.
since it's there.
So who do you go to? I
Well,
went to
He
you.
wrote to the selectmen. He gave it
I
to the
came to you.
selectmen.
I guess that would be something that you might put forward to the selectmen and,
The house isn't, historic isn't interested in any more houses, I know that.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It'd have to really have very big significance, because they had minimal about Mordecai Lincoln's interest in that. This house is just an old house, like my house is old. The land, I don't know if, what they're asking for it, and if we would be allowed to pay that kind of money. See, what you have to remember too is that when something like the land comes up, it has to be appraised, and we cannot pay more than the appraisal amount, even though we might think, you know, so many hundred thousands or whatever would be a really good investment. But we could also find out that it's not gonna appraise at that, and we can't use CPC funds. But it would be something to look into.
I don't think that it's on the market for like $475. So if somebody was gonna buy it, like the public, the price would already come down because there's no septic. I mean, you're gonna be paying $35,000-$40,000 for a septic system in town law.
The house is no value to the town,
That's all planned.
the land.
I can tell you, is we can ask a couple of people
Oh, yeah.
and see, and I can't tell you any more than that. It's not part of our,
No.
yeah. Pat was looking for a new office, but,
It ain't gonna happen, Pat.
well, you can ask.
Yeah, I mean, he can even just, I can mail a letter,
Yeah.
you know.
It would, it's a shame, you know, but you also, I mean, there's a lot of property around there for the reservoir that should be protected, you know, above your property as well. I mean, We have to be pretty cognizant of all of that, but whether we can buy it all or not
Yeah.
is, I can tell you this, that anybody trying to put a septic system on that property is gonna have to come to us. And so we'll be taking a hard look at how that happens.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the guy seemed like a reasonable guy. I mean, you know what I mean?
Right.
I don't know when money's involved. If he-
Sometimes that changes.
Tom?
I think you should talk to the Water Resource Committee,
Mhm.
because I think there's been discussions about how they're gonna handle, you know, situations like that. So I'd get in touch with
Oh,
that committee and find out what's happening.
And I would think it would be important only because the septic's failed. You know,
All right.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, thanks. And I hope you got as much information as you can from this, so. All right, anybody else? So,
I make a motion to deny the project, but we do support it.
do we have a second?
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And Amy knows everything to write in the denial.
Take your letter just in case.
Be
Yeah.
sure Pat's still the lead on
And there we go.
Good
Well,
project. We just gotta-
I want to thank you very much.
No, thanks.
Actually, it should be just a motion to close. We don't usually vote to deny.
Yeah,
We just
right.
vote
Yeah,
to
we'll-
close.
Oh, all right, I make a motion to close the
Wait a
hearing.
minute, wait.
Except for there's no conditions to write other than.
Nothing.
Right, I'm just saying, though, we don't
Right.
vote on notices of intent
'cause
to
we've
approve
never
or
done
deny.
that.
Right, we just close.
Close.
And then
And then we'll give the denial.
Yeah.
We'll vote on the
Order
denial.
at the next meeting. Well.
No,
at
we
the-
don't do that. We
Well,
just,
we,
we
no,
why can't we
close.
do it
We'll
both
close.
now?
Right.
I make a
Just
motion to
close.
close the hearing.
Right.
All in favor?
Aye.
Yeah.
Now I make a motion to deny it, even though it's a good project and
Wow.
we definitely
You and
support
Benny
it.
are right on the,
Not really, because we don't ever do this. We don't ever, we just close the hearing.
Yeah.
And then we issue
Yeah,
orders that approve it or deny it.
Deny with favorable feelings.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, now take a vote.
I just seconded it.
yeah. Have a motion?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, good, thanks.
Aye.
Yes.
Okay, so now
And
we're all
again, and
set.
again, I'll thank you very much.
You all set here?
We'll make sure that the commission
Did
knows
you need a
what's going
copy of
on.
this letter? Amy, do you need, or Pat, do you need a copy of that letter?
Amy does.
It's actually part of the, part of the, certificate.
Those are all okay.
I'll give you a call.
Okay, no,
Yep.
let's do these quick.
We're much easier than told.
How about, we got the Osprey,
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry, and we have two folks here, so who's here for?
He's here for Osprey, but he's also here for the, John's here for the request for a
We just go right through the agenda, go right on to old business, the order of conditions, and then on to the request for amendment.
Okay.
We kind of jump around, but we can do that. I make a motion, we accept the orders of conditions as written for 8 Holmes Street.
Second.
He did. All in favor?
Aye.
Great.
I make a motion, we accept the orders of condition as written for 50 Surfside Road.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Great. So Tornetta to Atlantic Drive, remove and relocate a portion of the fence.
Are they here?
I'm here.
Keith's here. That'll be the next one.
I think they're actually both gonna be heard together.
Oh, okay.
I don't really understand why I'm here. What we were asking was to know whether we have to file for a new project or revise the existing project.
The first we saw that there was gonna be any new work was this week. We had talked to the Yoruba about the fence. It
Yeah.
wasn't part of a permit. So then this week, new information came in, so, I mean, if you,
I talked to Don Monroe today, and he said, when he said something, he was asking,
This is what he's referring to.
do we amend the original permit as the conditions, or do we go for a new project? That's really what we want.
Well,
Right, and so what the engineer did was he filed two separate requests for amended orders of conditions. Because each property has open orders.
Carol,
So there's an avenue under the DEP where you can amend existing orders that are in effect for you know, and to modify the project or whatever for simple changes. So the request is in front of the commission to whether, so they're going to give you that guidance.
Yes.
Whether or not they'll allow your request and then take it up at a public hearing separately, so at the next meeting, or whether they want to suggest a different avenue.
Exactly.
Yes, so I think that basically you guys, you've seen the request
I've seen it, they
for
had not, I've seen it, I'm sharing it now.
amended orders. I have them if you want. Do you want us to bring any copies?
So if I'm understanding correctly, all they're looking for is for us to say, first of all, they are paying attention to this, and that they will be doing something formally in terms of having this amended, I mean, not using the right road, at the first meeting in
If you accept
September.
their request to amend the orders,
Right.
then what they'll do is they'll submit information and notify abutters and come to the next, you know, the hearing.
And present their side of the story.
And present it all.
Yeah, okay.
With plans, and I think that it would be prudent to give them suggestions based on what they've submitted. If you see something that's glaring that you want to see at the public hearing, to move the process along.
Right.
Like a property survey.
Okay,
Yes,
I
absolutely.
have a question. So these orders that they're requesting to be amended, what were they for? Was it for the pilot program that
Yes.
both residents did?
Yes.
So when the original was done for the pilot program, was there any mention of permitting a fence in that?
No,
no, that's why they have to.
that's why I have to amend it,
Okay.
That's why they have to amend.
because they want to add
And I
this.
agree, there would have to be a survey, because it has to be, my understanding is it would have to be on private property.
Well, I wouldn't even get into that. We require surveys
Right.
for, you want to build a house, you want to put in a driveway. Yeah, you want to, don't even get into, you got a project, let's see a survey and where the project is and what you want to do.
There's no problem.
Okay, so what do we do now?
So if you guys should go back and forth, and if you agree with their request, you
Yeah.
want to take it to the next step, then make a vote.
Okay.
That you accept their request to amend, and then that's it, that ends discussion, and then we'll wait for them to.
till we
And they'll notify abutters.
do
who
we
come
put
in
a
and
time
have
limit on
hearings.
them?
Just
No,
like a
Amy?
notice of intent.
Yeah, I like that idea,
But
Rich.
Amy,
right
should we
now-
put a time limit on them? Because they are responding to something that they
Well,
violated.
typically, we would put them on for the next meeting, but I believe that we've been notified by the engineering
They need-
company that they would like to be put on the first meeting in September because of their workload. They can't get
That's a good
together.
time limit to me, yeah, that's the time limit.
That's 5
So that it doesn't get continued and,
It will take a little time to get a survey.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
fine.
can I ask a question?
This is a violation,
Yeah, let's say that if this is a
That's why I want
violation,
to put a time limit on.
yeah,
right? This is a violation,
yeah.
and we want this thing resolved as quickly as possible. If this, we just talked earlier about a violation at the end of Man Hill Extension. And we said, we're gonna just start, we know that this person is aware of their violation, and we're gonna move towards finding them. So, people knew that they did this work outside of what was approved on here. We're cognizant that it's a violation. And
Of an order of
of an order of
conditions.
conditions. So this isn't a surprise that this is wrong. I mean, they can possibly amend the orders and take this down, you know, and get it approved, or the result is that they're gonna have to remove a piece of this or alter it to bring it into compliance.
Well, once they present the actual public, the case in front of you, so once they go, so I'm similar to a new notice of intent,
Right.
but once they actually present their request to amend the orders, I mean, you can deny it, you know what I mean?
So if somebody,
And I don't think they can appeal that.
so somebody comes in to us, we give them a set of orders to add on to their house. But then when they build that addition, they make it larger than what we approved. Do we issue an enforcement order to remove that piece of addition?
You can, under an order, it's work beyond what the order allows, so you can issue an enforcement order.
Right. I guess what I'm not interested in, someone's created an issue here, and we want to get it resolved as soon as possible. And I guess I'm not looking to give any big accommodations to anybody with regard to this. You know, I hear this part from the engineer about they need time, but nobody came and asked us if they could build this piece.
You just put it in.
Right.
So I guess that's my concern, is that we've got somebody that's gone ahead and done this, that's not on the orders, and now I realize we have these issues that come up. It's unclear what happened.
But you're right, a lot of times we end up on their timetable for a violation.
Right.
So can we ask them to remove the fence and then proceed on, saying it wasn't permitted to begin with?
I think we did in the beginning.
Yeah, the choices we gave were remove the fence, or, request to have this included in your notice of, and your order of conditions under amendment. So they don't want to remove the fence, they said, well, we'd like to ask for an amendment.
Right.
So that's what we ended up.
They didn't ask us to put the fence in.
Right. And
So why don't we tell them to
How
remove
long
the fence and
ago-
then proceed on?
It was
Did
good
this stuff?
6 months.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
From time to time, people, proceed beyond what they have approval for.
Right.
And you take it up as, amendments to a site plan, or after the fact, notices of intent, or RDAs. I mean, but it's gonna come down to the interest of the act and what you're protecting, the resource area. So, I mean, ultimately, that's your decision. You know what I mean? Just to
Right.
have them remove the fence because they didn't ask to put it in. I mean, you could definitely go that way, but you've got somebody who's willing to go down the right avenue. They should have asked you, or should have filed for a permit before. I totally agree with that.
My point is that this has already been going on for a while,
6 months.
and now it wants to go on for a little while longer, and the work can get resolved. This can be put together fairly quickly. Someone's got to stop working on something else and get this done.
Can
Not me.
I tell you something about this? There's some misunderstanding here.
If he sits up here, everybody who watches can hear better than being that far back.
Yeah, why don't you come up to the...
Does anyone have, is there any chance that the plan, the original plan is here?
The original plan.
Because this was brought up at the time. And it slipped through the cracks, but it isn't that it wasn't brought up. The original plan, and I'm the one that's at fault here, if there's somebody's fault. This is more than about the fence. The original plan.
Are we all gonna go there to see what he's talking about?
Hey, you want to bring it up there?
Yeah. So we can understand. Let's stick it more in the middle, and that way we can all look at it.
The original plan showed a gap in the dune here so that the ocean could rip right down the street.
Yeah.
And I protested that at the time of these hearings. And I also said that there was a fence here that was existing, and we needed to, we've had trouble over the years of people coming through here with trucks, getting stuck, coming to our door, asking to borrow a shovel, being drunk and disorderly about it, and causing us a lot of trouble. And I brought this up right out in the hallway with Pat and others, and I wasn't gonna bring this up, but I paid to have this closed with the dune in violation of this plan, but I think it's a good thing. I tried to do the right thing, and I tried to define this so that people could walk through there, but we didn't have trucks. This is a grassed area here. It's fairly narrow here. I try to keep people off the grass. We've had a fence in this area.
No, you haven't, Keith. I object to that. There's never been a fence in that area. That's been a 20-foot cut all the way for the access for the people along here who live on, who have frontage on Central Ave. You've got a nice path right here from your back porch, right down to the ocean, anytime you want. That's been narrowed. You can't walk down that, Keith, the way you would the other day with your Home Depot bucket, your fishing rod, your bucket of bait.
And John, I told you that I agreed with Mrs. Pipes and that we would take out one side of the fence and we would.
No, you didn't tell me that.
Yes, I did.
We're not gonna do
Excuse me.
It was done illegally,
Sir?
Keith.
Sir, so we're having a discussion
Okay, well,
about
I'm not
this.
gonna let him lie.
And I'm sorry, your
Right.
your
John
name?
Stanton. John Stanton
Well, I
and
can
Ian Gill.
show you photos of this fence.
Well, but this is the plan, though.
I can show
This
you
is the
photos
plan.
right now, Frank, if you want.
Yeah, no,
This is the
like-
approved plan, though.
We have to go,
I'm
Mr.
telling you, I
Dobie,
violated the plan.
But
I
we-
put the dune, I connected the dune.
but we have
Sue
to,
me.
we have
Find me.
to,
Do
we have
whatever
to
you
go
want.
by this, so we can,
I'm
amending
telling you,
will be
I-
based on
I-
this.
I brought this up, don't tell me I didn't bring this up at the time.
So the discussion that we really had
Go
tonight,
right there.
yeah, so,
You know,
that what we're discussing is how quickly we can get this resolved. Are you hearing me, Mr. Stanton?
Yes, no.
Do you hear what I said?
I understand,
All right.
I understand, but as far as the time
Right.
goes, we've waited 16 months now.
Okay.
We-
And-
we-
notified me until about 3 weeks
we-
ago.
All right, so what we're discussing is, if this is gonna be amended, they're asking that they can amend the orders to do this. So there's gonna be no,
Well, it was a flagrant violation, way beyond the scope of what was permitted. Way beyond the scope. It's not even in the plan. It's just total flagrant. The engineer, the contractor, everybody should have known better. I mean, I would ask that it be removed, and I think,
I feel the same way, sir.
and your name is?
Ian Gill, I live at 134,
Well,
right next
Can
to.
people walk through?
You know,
Is that
listen,
what-
I
I
really
don't
think
know.
we're jumping.
Yeah, I know.
Off our
I'm
rabbit
all-
trails, here's the
Yeah.
plan, and this is what is approved.
Yes.
Okay,
That's it.
but now I have a question for Amy and Pat, and it's based on what you disclosed about violating this plan intentionally.
I
Do we
thought
have
I
to
had agreed
address
with
that?
Pat to do this.
I'm sorry?
I thought I had agreed with Pat that I could do that.
Pat agreed that you
No,
could,
we had an order of conditions that's a separate one, that you didn't want any fencing, you just wanted to bring in sand and create
make
a
the data
dune.
go back and out.
So your order is
Got
to do
something
with
go
the
back to
dune.
01.
His was to do, Tornado's was to do with a fence and pile
No,
sand and
because
plantings.
Yeah, but
Everybody
this
knows
opening
this
is
the
not
sand
right,
bank.
and I
It's no one
told you
walking
that I
across
had
the
to,
dune,
we had to
whether it be
connect
dog
that.
park and the dune or
I
anything
stood
else
right
with
in
the
the hallway out
the
there
beach.
with you, and we had the stone samples,
It's a red herring.
and I thought we were,
This is the plan, right here, this is the approved plan.
It's a police issue.
I just want to get, my point is, they've requested to amend the orders. They did file, and this is a deviation from the filing. So we have people that don't file anything and just do what they want. We have filings that go on here, and at the time that they construct things, some things come to light where people think it could be done better if they do a piece that's a little different or than is on the plan, and in that case, we have a situation where we have amended orders. They've requested that they amend the orders. That's going to come before us in a formal application that people are going to be able to speak to at the meeting. So that's really what we're talking about, and then it's how soon it gets in front of us. Because we don't want to have something out there for another 6 months. We want to get to it now, is my feeling.
Absolutely. We've waited, as I say, 16 months, so
Okay.
all last summer, now, here we are, August, we're dealing with that little narrow pathway. As I said it last week, I'm 23 and a half inches wide.
Yeah, but these are the things that you're gonna have an opportunity to speak
Yeah,
to,
right.
okay?
Okay.
But I need to know one other thing. Are we gonna get into a discussion of the ownership of this property?
We're gonna see a survey plan,
Right.
Yes.
okay?
Because
So, and I really, again, there's no point,
So- I mean-
we're not, all the abutters haven't been notified.
But I keep hearing it has to be on our property.
It has to be a surveyed plan.
We'll have a survey.
Oh,
So,
fence.
so Frank, like right here where it says property line, so Mr. Doby, like, is that your property line?
Yes, but under
Okay.
Massachusetts law, he owns to the center line and I own to the center line.
But do you see this plan? The dune ends on the property line. Doesn't matter anything about Massachusetts law. This dune
Right.
stops on the property line. Even if you owned all the way to Boston, this dune stops right there.
Do you think that's right?
That's the approved
But
plan.
that's what you asked for at the time.
That's an
All right, so I think, again, there's no, we shouldn't be debating all this stuff until everybody has a chance to receive
I need
notification.
to know how much volume I need, basically.
We need
Because-
we need a survey.
We'll give you a survey.
Okay.
And, but who says anybody has the right to pass over that?
We're not discussing rights to pass, we're discussing fences that don't belong there and dunes
How do you
that,
know the fence doesn't?
It's
is
not
there a
it's
fence
not
on the project?
It's not, it wasn't conditioned.
Yeah, okay.
And the dunes should be located where they're located to be approved on the project.
Well, and if it's different, then we're gonna discuss that in a meeting
Yeah.
and the pros and cons of what that is. If there's additional dune and it protects this, we can consider that, but we need to have a complete plan.
I don't disagree with that at all. But there's this undercurrent here about that street and who owns it and about being on the property and all that.
I wanna see what we can
And I don't think
issue.
that's your purview, one. But two, if you think it is, then,
Okay,
I need to show you that we own half the street, Fernando owns half the street. The people over here, my grandmother negotiated how this is, had this street become a paper street, had this street named after her and built in, had her property go to the beach and the upland beach eliminated in front of her property, had parking here. This has never been open 20 feet to the beach since 1941.
So parking on Barrett Street?
Yes.
can we, again,
I'm
this
ju-
isn't on for tonight.
I would just
I-
wanted to
Yeah.
understand what he's
Okay.
saying, so
I
there's
get
not
it.
a miscommunication.
All right, thank you.
Gee, why, if your grandmother had all this, why didn't she just run, your run
right.
right over to Mr. Torres, if she had all that say?
All right, so
how that
let's,
was developed?
you guys can discuss that.
Oh, goodness.
Now, John, do you have a clause in your deed that says you have the right to pass?
There's no way to behave,
Do
boys.
we have,
Absolutely. I sure do.
okay. So what are we on for?
Little look at your deed. I
September
don't want to
7th.
contest it, I don't want to argue about it,
That's all.
John. I don't want to contest it, but you don't.
1999.
No, wait a minute, okay.
We wanna drag
Wait a
this?
minute. Oh, Lord have mercy. No, the
No, that's
16th, we can't hear it.
appreciation.
Thank you.
It would have to be the 7th.
All right,
We are booked on the 16th,
all right.
okay?
So we're gonna be looking for all that information and get that advertised.
All right, a survey plan, though, a property line should show the end of your property line.
Right.
Okay, so that's what the survey plan will show.
Yep.
Right, and it'll show where the proposed project is.
We have that.
Yeah, we're not getting into
Yes,
a
but it was
debate
built
about
Like where the plan,
access and
Right.
there's a plan, there's lines on the plan, there's distances on the plan.
This is not
and
going
that's-
to end at
Yeah.
that.
It's all right.
Also,
Well, it's gonna end with us.
require a surveyed plan with
Right.
the project.
Yep.
Like,
And the
that's a
proposed
typical
fence,
thing
where it is,
for
where is this on the survey? Right.
And I think we should ask for deeds for both properties. I mean, that's something that you can definitely ask for.
So who are we
for
respond-
notices of
who-
intent. You're supposed to get them, right.
Who are we
So-
responding to? Who do we want to tell all this to?
Engineering.
Yeah, we've been trying to get coastal engineering here for 6 months, and we thought he was gonna be here the last meeting, we thought he was gonna be here tonight.
Okay, but we're not gonna work on their timeframes anymore.
Right.
They're gonna work on our timeframe.
Well, they've committed to giving us the information that you're gonna need to have a public hearing on this on September 7th.
They're going to give us the information on the 7th?
or
No,
before.
there's,
Right.
Okay.
we've got requirements that information is
The
due
hearing.
before the
So
hearing.
to get notification out for September 7th, we got to get some stuff fairly soon so it can get advertised or
Right,
whatever.
by the 16th.
Okay,
What's 2 weeks before, right?
Yeah.
Carol? Yeah.
okay. All right.
So we'll need information
Yeah,
in.
and I'm ready to say that if we don't have that information by the 16th and we can't have that, then
Fence is
then I
gonna
want an
go.
enforcement order and fines,
Right.
okay?
One question I had was, until 2 days ago, the Doby property wasn't involved in this. There was a fence on Tornetta's, and that was the violation of the order. Doby didn't even come up. I don't even know why he's here.
Because.
Well, he just stood here and said,
Wait, yeah,
I violated this plan and I did this. It's
Well, I can tell you why.
intentionally
Well-
Mr. Doby built a dune into Barrett Street.
beyond the scope of the project, and he just said he did it.
I can tell, from my understanding, the reason why there are 2 requests and they're bringing up the 2 different open orders is because the fence that's on Tornetta's property, or I'm not sure if it's on his property or not, but the fence on the Tornetta side is the fence that they are not proposing to move.
Not
Moving
proposing.
forward. It's on the other side, as you look at the ocean, on the right side.
Doby side.
They are proposing to adjust that width and tweak it a little.
Okay,
And that's in their submittal. But what we're lacking is detail.
Right.
And a plan,
Stamp plan.
stamp plan and
Right.
backup
Yep.
information
Right.
and so on and so forth.
All right.
But I mean, it's a sand fence. You know
Right,
what
they
I mean?
might be willing to tweak it, I might be willing to have the whole thing removed, and we'll see how that works, yeah.
Because they put it in unpermitted. And
Right.
we've got to stop rewarding people for doing things because they feel like it.
I just don't want the can to get kicked down the road another 6
Right,
No.
right.
Right.
Well, keep in mind that fences can be good
Right, no,
for
well,
dunes
and I
and
think-
beach nourishment, but perhaps you might want to incorporate other things like other dune nourishment
Right.
plantings.
Yep, well, that's right, the whole thing has to be looked at as, in its entirety, and then take a look and say, okay, this is beneficial, this is not beneficial.
Right.
This is impeding something, this is gonna work.
But you're right, Lisa, people need to stop doing the stuff and waiting to
Right.
get
I
caught.
mean,
That's what's upsetting.
I think the fence should come out and then we'll proceed and we put it back to the way
know.
it was.
All right, do,
Then move forward. I think it should be an NOI, not amended, because this piloted program that we put in place, that Tornetta and Doby did, has nothing to do with this fence. This fence is something they've done. I don't think we should amend it. I think we should have an NOI specific because of this fence and make this a separate issue from the pilot program.
They wanna, well, they've got a set of orders that are for here, so I think we,
But it's
right,
a
we're gonna
pilot
have
program.
we're gonna have a hearing,
and then we'll decide.
then we're gonna make a
If we can't agree
decision.
with that, then we'll move on from there.
If we don't have stamp plans in by the 16th, then we go with the enforcement. If it's in, then we just wait till the hearing on the 7th
Right.
and vote on it.
Yep.
perfect.
all right, do I have to make a
And
motion
we
for
can
anything?
communicate
No,
that
no.
to
Just write it
coastal
in the book.
Yeah,
and the property owners, so they
After motion
know that
to
you're
accept.
serious.
Right, we're all on the same page.
Action.
what does Carol want us to do?
Carol said I have to make a motion for us to accept their amendment.
And we also need to
To
check
hear
with
it or
planning.
accept it?
We're gonna hear it.
We're gonna hear it.
To accept that we
Right.
will hear it.
Accept their request.
Accept their
For an
request
amendment.
for an amendment. Okay.
Well, and that's what Lisa's arguing, that it shouldn't,
It should be a separate NOI. This is nothing to do, this pilot plan is something that they were very fortunate enough to be part of. I mean, it had nothing to do with the building of the house or anything else. That is a pilot plan. I don't think we should tie in a pilot plan with an amendment for something.
Let me ask you this, if you think it's a violation, and you don't think it belongs there, and then you request an NOI, it's gonna be even longer till you can say no. If you wanna say no, if your goal is administrative procedure or fixing this, the amendment is gonna be the faster way to get it in the room to fix it.
And I think that from this point forward, there should be fines. This has been, that pilot program was January of 2016 when it was completed, and all parties are aware of the fact that they knew what they were doing was wrong. I think that we've got to stop. There's got to be fines starting right now, daily basis, and a new an NOI just for this fence. Let's take care of it. Let's do it right.
So you wanna drag it out further?
I don't
you
think
want an
I
NOI.
don't think they're going to drag it out further
An
than
NOI
fine
it-
daily. I think that'll help expedite it. And we all talked about fining and how we should have
Did you
been doing
do
this.
the motion, Penny?
Yeah.
I second the motion.
To accept their request for an amendment,
So I have a motion and a second.
yeah.
And I hear what you're saying. I think we just have to decide the best way for us to move forward.
Well, we
Are
can
we
deny
privy
it.
that a pilot program is endless, or does it have to be revisited? Is there a time limit on a pilot program?
There's an open set of orders on this project, so that as long as there's an open set of orders, they can request an amendment.
And we can
No,
deny,
with
and
a
we can
pilot
deny it.
program, they
We can
can't.
deny it.
Bottom line is, we wanna hear it and rule on it.
We can decide that it's, the amendment goes beyond an amendment to a filing. We can do that.
And we were sent information on amendments and what we can do if it's amended versus what can be done if it's not. And if you read that, that is kind of important before you make your decision on which door you want to go down.
Okay.
Lisa, I'm interested in getting it done as fast as possible. I understand your NOI proposal, but that's just going to slow it down. And it also gives more options for appeal,
Yes, it's appealable.
whereas this is not.
No, actually, read the information from the state. That actually isn't true. That's why I provided that for you.
Can we have an all in favor?
Also, everybody needs to read the 1999 information from the planning board relevant to this property. You might find that interesting. It addresses no parking on Barrett Street between those two properties.
But the motion right now is to hear this in September or have it removed. That's the motion on the floor.
I want to hear.
Are you
it so
for or
we can
against
get it.
that?
I think the fence should be removed, and we'll hear it on September 7th.
They're not going to remove it.
All right.
So we
So we
can
have a
force
motion,
it.
a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thanks for your input.
But,
We're-
you know, the
we're gonna
planning
get
board
to
would
the
be
same
good for us
point,
to
Lisa.
look
No, no,
at.
well, let's have it all.
Absolutely.
It is, but that's all for the
Yeah.
hearing.
Right, right.
Right now, we're just saying, are we gonna hear it?
Okay.
Because then that might be something we send back to the planning board, say, here's something that's under their enforcement powers. If they've
Well-
created a parking spot in the dune, maybe planning board needs to act on that too.
Planning board already did. It denied the previous owner any parking on Barrett Street.
What I'm saying though, if they're back doing it, then it's a new violation.
Our street is
another
which runs
violation.
between the two
Yep.
properties we're talking
Okay.
about.
Oh,
Okay.
so it's a
It's a
paper
real short.
street.
No, it's a real street.
Oh,
It's a real
But
street.
there is no room to park even if you wanted
It
to.
was created for access for people, part of this
Avenue.
association, to be able to access the beach,
Okay.
hallelujah.
supposedly.
You know, this reminds me of one down the other end of Hammer Rock a few years back.
There's 100 of these.
No, you know, your
There's 100 of
your
these.
girlfriends, two sisters.
Oh, shh, shh, now be cool, Penny.
Certificate of compliance.
Okay, let's go.
Certificate of compliance, Alman, 3 Joel Ave.
No,
Um,
she didn't like it now.
Yeah, I'm gonna recommend.
Is that the
taking
new
no
house?
action on that one at this time.
Is that the big new house? They took the little and they made it
There's
huge?
two big new ones, right on, next to each other almost, yeah.
Yeah, well, they used the whole lot for the house.
That-
That's
All
okay.
right. So then.
No action.
All right,
Good
so,
idea.
31 Kingsway
What's-
Road, NOI. What-
One of the
Okay,
additions.
31 Kingsway has a pool, and they're looking to put an addition. They're actually in the riverfront, but that was missed the first time around. So they've got a lot of stuff that's been built within the 100 and the 200. They're looking to do something furthest away from the brook. And it's gonna take up 200 square feet of lawn.
Why am I having trouble placing Kingsway?
It's off of Woodland.
Pyramid
Okay.
Lane.
Yeah.
Yep, oh, okay, I know now.
So-
Yep.
I said, well, you know.
There's really no
you
river
probably have
over
to do
there.
some kind of calculations of wetland disturbance or riverfront area disturbance, but they're already allowed and given a certificate of compliance for the work that's been done. So, house was built before the law. They want to know whether they could have a hearing on that, should they do an IDA or a notice of intent. And I suggested that we bring it up, talk about it for a minute, but people may want to take a ride by and look at this. And then we can let them know.
Well, what do you think?
Well, it's 200 square feet, it's furthest from the river, but on the other hand, technically, it's all on the riverfront.
And what do they want to build there?
I think it's a room, a two-story room addition.
So
And
it's on,
They want to build a garage, you saying, or
Yeah, I don't
something like
think
that,
it's-
2
I don't think
floors?
it's a garage, I think it's just an addition, a two-floor addition.
all right. And the issue is that it's in the riverfront. But the problem is that whole subdivision got started, and then, I mean, there's roads that go nowhere in there because
Yeah.
they were all built in the wetlands,
Right.
and they never got developed.
Right. There's chance for mitigation on this one, too. There's a lot of things that could be maybe improved.
So file an NOI.
NOI,
Okay.
go
Okay.
for the big one.
Right.
Keith left, what's the
What's up with the
Osprey?
Osprey pole? I thought we were done with
Well,
that.
we had a photo sent to us today from, was that from you? The photo?
It was sent to me, so I forwarded it on.
And we're wondering if it was the Osprey pole. It's across from Keith's house and it was laying on the ground. It's a big pole.
It's a board. It looks like there's a.
Oh, yeah, well, once he puts the pole up, the board goes on it, the square,
I mean, I didn't know, I
a
didn't,
platform like.
There's usually a pole with a platform on
Yeah,
top.
the platform's where he's gonna build his nest.
platform that's going on top.
yeah. Well,
Okay.
as I said, I received it and I was like, I don't know.
Yes,
So I
that's
just
probably what it
forwarded
is.
on.
Because they are pretty big platforms.
So that's what we assume it is, but it was
Yeah.
just brought up, is this a piece of junk on the beach or is this gonna be the pole? And we don't know when he left, so.
They're gonna put a tiki bar up there and,
I'm sure it's for the Osprey.
Okay, I can double check it really.
Yeah,
It's in the location where he's talking about.
Yeah.
yeah, he said
How are you gonna
across.
double check?
What?
How are you gonna double check?
Gonna ask him.
I'm gonna go ask him.
Oh, Keith Dobie?
Keith or Ruth Ann, or
Rosemary.
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 Okay, so my question is, I was telling Pat, where I used to keep my sailboat, an osprey chose to nest on top of one of the pilings. And anytime anybody went within a 10-foot radius of it, the bird attacked them.
Oh, yeah.
So my question to Pat is, does the Audubon get involved to make sure that this pole is set back far enough from the street so when people come by with bicycles and walking baby carriages, this bird doesn't feel like it's protecting?
The reason we're doing a poll is it's much higher.
It's much higher.
Much higher. So they're not gonna
I
be, the birds
kayaked
won't be
under
as threatened.
an osprey nest yesterday, and I didn't get attacked. The thing's 20 feet in the air.
I watched
Sure it's not the boat?
the blood on the top of the guy's head, what?
Sure it's not the boat?
Oh my stars, I just can't stand you guys.
That was good.
focus, Lisa, focus. We're concerned about the disturbing of the ground for the pole. That's our focus.
I walk down the street, I don't want
That's our
that bird
focus.
attacking me. That would
So,
happen to me.
speaking of,
There it is.
I mean, that didn't look like a pole to go up for a bird.
sure it is.
It looked
Yeah.
like, well, there was kids sitting on it when I went by today. They're all sitting there drinking sodas. I'm like,
It's a
is
telephone
this
pole with a
bench?
platform on top,
Yeah,
yeah.
looks good.
That's what's gonna be.
Getting photos, I got a photo from one of our folks that patrol the trails, and there was some vandalism, kids spray painted a rock.
I saw that.
Yeah.
It's in Ellis.
Oh, Alice.
They were concerned about what to do with it, contact the police, get all this stuff, and so the consensus is, we just want to clean it up, leave it alone, and if it continues, then we'll deal with it, but sometimes giving this stuff a lot of attention.
Yeah, it's what they want, it's
almost
better off,
worse
yeah.
than just
Yeah.
getting it picked up and move on.
Well, yeah, because somebody, my friend is.
Yeah, so I thought we'd all buck up and see who wanted to go out and clean the rock.
No, you can. I'm not.
Okay.
I nominate Frank. Any second?
Thanks.
Oops.
Can I get a minor activities permit?
That's unfortunate.
All right. Yeah, it
Okay.
is too bad, but by the same token, the same letter I got from this fellow was really excited. He'd been out on the trails, there was very little trash,
Yeah.
or almost none.
Yeah.
A lot of people using the trails, saw some deer, saw a bunch of people out just enjoying it, so that's all good.
Is
I
that
mean-
the right location, the new part of the trail?
I'm not exact, I'll find it.
But you know what? We have had very little problems on the trail, so it's almost like, just take care of it, knock on wood.
Yeah.
Because on the whole, we had that.
Do we know if, are they in compliance at the safety building with our orders for the trail and all those pieces?
Those are the final pieces we have to check. They were doing the stormwater, they have a partial for the stormwater.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the trail is up to us, I think, to hold them to it.
Our old agent was kind of slack, so he probably didn't follow up on it. He was a short timer.
Well, you know what happened too? But the mound did not become as high as they
Right.
originally.
Right, yeah.
We thought it was
Yes.
gonna be.
Those guys
really.
scored by building that thing during the drought last year. If that had been wet,
Oh,
and they had had wet soils, that mound would have been,
I know,
you know,
because that's what we
but they didn't
had
have
hoped
to,
for.
it was so much
Right.
easier for them to develop that site in a dry
Oh, yeah,
conditions.
Yeah.
dry as a
Yeah, and
bone.
that's why they were doing that. They thought they were going to have so much
So
fill.
should we drag them back in and say they didn't need to clear all the area they said they had to?
Make him replant it.
No, but you're right, they should have the trail.
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, they said they would,
Yeah, they
and
did.
I just haven't walked in there.
See.
Or if there's another
They won't
piece.
get a certificate of compliance unless they're finished.
If the trail, there's been some alternate trails that have been done that work pretty well, and, you know, sometimes it's too bad. It'd be nice to say, geez, could we do this instead of that, but with a contract, it's almost not worth it.
You just want people to be able to get in from there.
Yeah.
Park
The
lot.
That was a big
park.
concern of the neighbors, and I think we need to follow
The
through
other
on
thing,
that.
Pat, I just want to be sure, we had some agreement with it. I thought that they were actually eliminating the existing parking area, and the new parking
They
area
didn't.
was supposed to go in, so we need to take a look at that as
Right.
well.
Yeah,
I'm not opposed to keeping the one the way they have it.
right,
It's just, we want to take a look at that and see how that was supposed to play out.
yeah. Because they thought that was gonna be wiped out, but right now it's still there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, yeah.
Okay.
On the sign was off of
Okay?
Alrighty.
Call on Penny.
Call on me, please.
It's gravel.
I have a question for our retired agent. On June 21st, we were going to have a violation hearing for Glades Road, clearing isolated wetlands,
Okay.
25 Egypt Beach Road,
Okay.
failure to restore wetlands and buffer. Somebody's coming back and they're not going to be happy. Pin Oak,
Right
clear
here.
cut in BVW, buffer, failure to file NOI, Pin Oaks, that was. Go Green, stump grinding operation in buffer without a permit. Gardner, Gardner Road, you know where that is.
Well, okay, yeah.
Okay, so what's happening with these things?
Well, I have 4 of the letters right here with me tonight, so we have
4 letters of what?
violation letters. Jennifer Taylor is Egypt Beach, I'm going there Monday.
Is this
See
complete,
if
with-
that
is this
is
complete
filled.
with fines to go with these
If
letters?
you'd like. Pin Oak Drive, this is Mr. Kelleher's property, and this was done actually today. He's in violation. I invited him to come on the 16th.
Well, yeah,
Mr. Lane is 280 Gannett, and this
Yeah.
is the one that he was told he could cut, but no further than those
Yeah.
trees, and he did, so he's in.
Okay,
And then Mr. Russo, different Russo, is Gilson Road. He's next to that real nice house that we permitted, and this was a house next door with his, a lot of issues.
yeah, a
And he
lot
put
of
in-
junk.
Put in a couple of different sheds. And so, and then the Go Green is the next one, and then Glades Road, 2 Glades Road.
Okay, can I ask you a question? On 25 Egypt Beach Road, we have told her over and over, quote unquote, to plant.
Right.
that Nothing was done in the fall, nothing was done in the winter, nothing was done in the spring, and, ooh, summer's almost gone, and still nothing has been done
Right,
out there.
so-
Hello, she
Right.
hasn't revegetated, she is
Well, we
out
don't
there
know, that's what
mowing.
we're going for on Monday.
Go take a look, because
Okay.
I'm telling you now,
All
she
right.
hasn't done anything. And, like Lisa said.
Right. Well, on this one, we have an approved plan too, so it's like, if it's not the
It-
plan, then you're in violation.
Go out there.
When they sell the house, they'll be
We're
in
having
to,
a good old time mowing the lawn, making the yard bigger.
Doing whatever they want.
Okay.
All right, so Monday, I'll let you all know what's out there, and we can decide what to do. We can just,
Okay. 'cause-
Great job with the letters, Pat.
boy, I'm glad I had them ready.
Good thing.
Out of the blue.
They're not typed.
I thought she was gonna take you out back and beat you.
They haven't been sent.
Yeah.
Ooh,
God love you, Pat, but,
wow.
Yeah, 2 days a week.
well, darling, take it home.
Holy moly, what did you do to her?
Amy, you sure you want to stay?
Amy's gonna not show up to work tomorrow.
We saved her the last time they were about to bump her off the commission. We saved her.
Oh, listen, they know better.
No good deed goes
They
unpunished.
know better. I have friends in high places and in low places.
Are we done?
I think so. Wait a second, I'm just
Anybody
trying
else?
to. Oh, we discussed the
Talk about-
time,
Right.
meeting time.
Yeah. So, go ahead.
Meetings and meeting time, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Meeting scheduled?
Well,
Carol?
we went over that, Carol and I,
Oh, yeah, we changed one thing on the actual date schedule, but we didn't discuss the earlier.
yeah.
Well, why don't we discuss it now?
So 8:16, then 9/7.
Yep.
Yeah.
8:16? I don't have that on my list.
8:16 is the regular
Oh, that's not
meeting,
the
next regular meeting,
Yeah.
Oh,
August
Then we
16th.
start September 7th, that's a Thursday. Then we're gonna go out.
But is
8
Thursday helping, I mean, the whole objective was to get these things into the first of the week for Paul's schedule. So Thursday, September 7th winds up being a Thursday.
Well, Monday's a
That's the
holiday
best
that
we
week.
can do.
that's why.
Right, do
There's
the
a
best
few
you can
that-
do. I'll try to make all the ones I can.
Yeah.
You know what, though? If it's a Toll Brothers one, we need everybody there.
Oh,
So do we have one? Is that the night there?
9/7, we just
yeah.
brought them back.
Do you know, Paul?
I'll know in the next week, my September schedule.
boy.
On the 9th of August.
can't you request just to
Well, wait
have
a
that
minute.
day off? What kind of
You can tell she
airline-
doesn't
what
have
kind
a regular
of airline
job.
is this?
It's a normal airline that runs on seniority, and you bid your schedule every month, and they
Every
start with
month,
the senior
yeah.
guy. He gets his
I
first
thought you were
choice.
senior.
I'm not the number one guy. If you're not the number one guy, you're
Yeah,
not getting your
you-
number one choice. Yeah,
Yeah.
Paul, have you missed any of the Toll Brother ones?
I don't believe so.
Somebody missed one.
Somebody
Who
missed
missed
one.
one?
Not me.
Not me. Did you
Not I.
miss it?
Bill, maybe?
I did miss a meeting, but I don't think Toll was
Bill
on that
might have already
night.
missed a
I
couple.
don't think he was
Bill's
either.
out,
Oh,
yeah.
Bill,
Okay.
yeah, Bill's
That
out.
didn't count, but Bill Ornberger made a point that somebody had missed one.
Right.
All right, let's see.
Bill will know. We'll have to ask him.
Yeah.
He's tracking it more than
Oh, wait a
anyone.
minute, I can tell you right here. July 5th, 2017, Toll Brothers in 23 Sunset. Missing, Bill, Matt, Maura.
Bill, Matt, and who?
Maura?
We don't have more.
More current, I just,
Oh,
She's not
She
a
just
voting
keeps
member.
track of everybody, yeah.
yeah.
You don't care about Matt Mitchell.
No, he's,
no.
Well, you
But
asked me who
there was
missed.
another date too, there was another meeting.
They make commission members.
Third tool meeting or
I get so
fourth?
confused, and I just had my
Oh,
head in
where's
today.
that number?
Yeah, I think right now it's just Bill, but we're down a member.
Well, okay, Toll Brothers, wait a minute, I have another one for you. June 21st, missing.
No, I wasn't missing that.
Bill and Matt.
I didn't miss that, no.
Bill
Yeah.
and
On
Matt.
June
All right.
21st.
Yeah, we're good.
We're good.
Maybe he
We're
was
good.
thinking it was
We're good.
Matt.
So Paul could theoretically miss one if he had to.
We should double check that.
Right, and I'll do my best to make it. When I get my
appreciate it.
schedule, I'll
Yep.
tell you.
Just to see if everybody's been, if all this group has been at all
Frank,
told.
what happened when we rearranged, when Carol rearranged these was, Board of Health already has their schedule done for the year. But come January,
Yep.
hopefully, we can work it out with them.
Yeah.
There will be,
It would be nice if we can work it out so that we can just have a consistent first and third.
Well,
But that's gonna be difficult with Mondays.
well, Mondays, because if you do
Holidays.
first and third, there are 5 holidays next year on the first Mondays. If we did second and fourth, there's 1.
all right.
So then
we-
maybe we'll shift to that.
We'll go to the second.
I'd appreciate that.
We can't take them off, Frank. I mean, we have to.
I know, I understand.
Well,
Right, no, that's a
Pull
great
it
point though,
out.
Richard.
Well, then maybe we'll move our meeting. I'd like to do that too.
Rich, on May 3rd, you missed at Toll Brothers.
I don't remember that.
May 3rd,
Yeah, May
we what
3rd,
way?
I just don't remember that.
Matt and Rich.
She just doesn't stop.
No, she's not gonna stop.
Oh,
It's not gonna
I'm
stop.
sorry, I
Remember
thought you...
No, it's good to know because they'll know it.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is that you could miss one if
Right.
you weren't the person. That's all I'm
Yeah.
saying.
Yeah, they said you can...
I was
you can-
All right.
away that week,
So,
that's true.
Frank, it's something I think, I hear what Carol's saying, but I think it's something we can discuss with Jen. They are a board of 4, and they might have 2 people at their meetings. We're a
Couldn't they
board.
meet in the DPW room or something?
Well, that's
That's
what
what
I'm
she said.
saying.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Because
What's that?
it'll be easier,
They don't have to be, though. CPC isn't televised.
but for
I know, but
booking,
Board of
it'll be
Health, I asked-
easier.
The health.
Yeah.
I asked Laura, and she said.
Yeah, they're televised.
Yeah, but she might not know all the rules. We'll see, but I
We'll work it
think
out.
we can work something
But
out
I
with
did,
Jen.
I did notice that Monday holidays, and actually the first 2 in January are both Mondays, 2 holidays. January 1st and January 15th are both holidays. So you start off bad.
Yeah, because you have Martin Luther King. And,
All right,
And New Year's Day.
all right, but hopefully we can,
okay.
Second and
Work
fourth,
that out.
Richard.
Yeah.
Second and fourth.
so anyways, then we'll go to the 25th, which is 18 days, so we don't need, but that will be a Monday. So we don't have to do the 20th, which is a Wednesday. So that's a Monday. And Columbus Day, we don't have a choice because it's,
It's on Monday.
Yeah.
okay, and then the rest are Mondays until December 20th, and for all we know, we won't even meet the 20th.
Okay.
Did you say the 18th of September?
No, I said the 25th. It's
25th.
only 18 days out from September 7th, so we don't need the waiver. But we're over the 2 weeks, is what I'm saying.
See, this is where it's gonna get confusing if we can't.
Well, right now,
Board of Health,
You're confused.
are you gonna
right
pick on me
now, we
again?
we
I'm
have
not
it.
loving it either, but we'll figure it
We'll
out.
we'll
As long as
figure
we
it out, comes
publicize
the
it
first,
appropriately, it'll
Okay,
be fine.
so now what do we want to talk about with the time? We're gonna start at 3?
Noon.
For a lot of us, there's not a problem with that. I mean, I can come any time of the
Well,
day,
I
morning.
can't
Rich
do earlier.
can't,
I
though.
cannot do earlier than
No,
6.
I know that, that's why I'm
Yeah.
saying. For me, it isn't a personal problem. Richard
I could do
Cannot-
6 if that helps, but
could get here at 6.
That's pretty much your earliest you could start then, because you can't.
Yeah, the thing is that I was talking with Carol, and my feeling at first was, oh, well, it might be hard for some of the lawyers and the engineers and so forth to come in at 5:30. Then I
I
thought,
think they'd rather come in.
well,
I'd
what I'm
rather.
saying though, is then I
Maybe some of
thought,
the applicants.
yes, getting home,
People with real jobs.
well, you know what, the lawyers and them, they're being paid.
But the reality is, if Richard can't make it before 6, we can't be down.
Right.
I can't, no, for the hearings. But could we be doing all this stuff we do at the end of the meeting do that in the beginning, and we do not start hearings until 6 o'clock.
But maybe he likes being here for all the stuff.
Yeah, only if you don't want me to vote.
Well, no, I'm just saying.
Now you've just hurt his feelings.
I don't mean to hurt your feelings.
Actually, my feelings aren't hurt, but I might want to vote.
Yeah, well, I'm just trying to work it.
Ah, Jesus. Cheese and rice. What do you?
So maybe
Go ahead.
move the meeting time to 6.
Is
See how
that-
that works out,
yeah.
and if we get a lot of complaints,
It's
it's only a
15
15-minute
minutes.
Right.
adjustment, but
Yeah.
it'll
I'll be lucky to
allow
make
you
it.
guys to
We
maybe
know
do
that.
some of your business up
Frank's
front.
late at 6:15, so it'll be no difference, yeah.
I don't think I'm really the issue here.
Free game on Frank. I wasn't doing it, Paul just picked on you.
You've caused enough trouble.
Children. Okay, so is 6 o'clock all right with
Let's
everybody?
try it.
Okay,
Okay?
6 o'clock.
Since we're messing with meeting dates anyways now.
Oh, we might as well mess everything up.
Yeah, we might as well adjust the time too.
I think we should have a cutoff, nothing later than 9 o'clock.
I'm all for that. I went to the selectmen's meeting the other night, out of there at 11.
It was 11.
Yeah, that was a late one.
That was a real late
Yeah.
one.
It's not for me.
But that's not normal.
So
That
now,
news
do
are so
they
late.
need to make a motion, or we just start making that?
No, we just do it.
We'll just do it.
We just do it.
Now,
And
should
when
we
the
post
agenda
something on
comes
the
out, it's gotta say-
website to let
Yes.
people know
Yes.
that,
Okay?
okay.
All right.
Okay.
Anybody
to
else?
adjourn?
Any other tidbits?
Second.
Whoa, wait a minute.
Oh, wait a minute, there's 1 minute. There's 1 minute.
Amy, did you want to add anything this evening? So you know everybody else is ready to say.
Yeah, but I have
Do you still
minutes.
like us, Amy?
Yeah.
Oh, good.
I'm happy to be here,
Oh, good.
and I want to let you know that I was out to quite a few properties, and with, actually, with consultation with Frank and Pat and others, issued some minor approvals for minor things. For instance, there's a property in Hummerock that has a pier that has an open Chapter 91 license, and their order's expired, but anyways, he had some piers in the waterway that are rotted, that he didn't
he's got-
replace the first time out, and the barge is there, so he's gonna replace those without filing a formal permit, which we thought was perfectly acceptable, because there's nothing on land happening, it's in the waterway. Another was dead trees, and another one was a rotted post on a deck, so.
I like that.
I love common sense.
That's common sense.
Yeah.
Trying to move things
Yeah.
through.
Yes,
Just common
yes.
sense.
I did, yeah.
Thank you.
Good, glad to have
I make a motion, we accept the minutes of May 3rd, 2017 as written.
Can't second it, I wasn't here.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Good.
Okay, I make a motion to close,
You mean adjourn?
adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.